thinking that the top model would be like
Hey,
bigger.
ready, शुरू हो गया?
Yes, we are.
Welcome to the Sikkim podcast. I am Chiring Eden,
And I'm Pema Wangchuk.
and we are back after a long hiatus, almost 2 years, 3
Maybe
years,
even more.
maybe
Yeah.
even more.
Yeah.
We don't even remember how long. And this time we thought we'll come back in the video mode as well, because we all know these days the video is something that gets quite popular and quite viral, and it is the medium for the people.
Yeah. But I think more than that, it is just that both of
We
us are
want
very
it.
narcissistic. And we want people to see us.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, it is also because I think a lot of nowadays even podcasters are doing video as well.
Yeah,
So we
makes
thought,
sense.
why not try it? And also,
Yeah, because we also realized that a lot of our audio podcast audience was watching it on YouTube. And if you're on YouTube, then why not have a video?
I know.
Is also a thing. Is also a thing. But yeah, I think before we are, of course, we've got to admit that both of us will probably be very rusty with this whole thing
Yes.
because we've not done it for such a long time. And before we start digressing everywhere, I think some thanks are in order. We should
Yes.
thank the people who made this possible. I think
Yes.
more than the topics that we're going to discuss are the people we need to thank today. So,
We would like to thank Mr. Loven and Mr. Salim,
Yeah.
Mr. Abhishek and Mr. AJ, who are behind the scenes handling all the technical part of the shooting and the podcast and everything. And we would also like to thank this beautiful venue that we are in. This is Gantok B&B, which is located in Diesel Powerhouse Road. And the Miss Paru Bhattarai is looking after this B&B, and you can always get in touch with her. We will probably share the links of this
yes.
place
on run the scroll will run at the bottom of this.
I don't think that, I don't know if that's going to happen, but we will have information about this B&B if you would like to come and check it out. You can see it's a beautiful place. The location is really nice near the town. So
And
so
Summit
that's-
Times,
and Summit Times for the
which
support.
we always pile on
Yes,
to
for
their
everything, for equipments, for advice, for some expertise. We always go to Summit Times, so we'd like to thank Summit Times
Yep.
as well. And yes, so I think we can begin.
with the thanks out of the way.
Yeah.
Basically, what we were discussing before we started shooting this was how do we do this? I mean, do we do a weekly roundup and then discuss the news of the week, so to speak? And because it's been so long, I think we can go at least a month back.
Yeah.
Or even 10 months back, which is the opening sequence of what we are discussing today.
So ideally, it's supposed to be weekly. Even Sikkim podcast was supposed to be weekly, but we could never stick to the schedule. But this time, we are hoping to, stick to the schedule. But since this is the first podcast, we will not really strictly give you a weekly update. We will go back a month, maybe even a year, right?
Yeah.
So because some of the topics that we have wanted to discuss on the podcast and we could not. Because we were not coming out. So we will touch upon some of the topics, but since we want to keep it short as well, it's as short as in 1 hour. That's like, we have noticed even before when we were doing the podcast, we thought 1 hour is a pretty long period of time, but when we start talking, we don't realize where that time flies by, and then we had to, a lot of times we had to cut it down. So it's not a very long period of time when we start discussing these topics, but we'll try to keep it within the 1 hour, and we will also be uploading the audio only version of this podcast for those who like to listen only to the audio version while they are working, while they are traveling. So we'll hopefully be able to do that as well. So to begin with,
Or are offended by seeing two people so awkward on camera.
I know we are not camera people, but
Yeah.
we've never been. But more
Like people say,
has-
one of the podcasts that I listen to, the guy says that he's got the face for audio. So
yeah,
I think that's probably us.
But yeah,
That's probably us. But anyway, so what are we starting off with?
so we thought we'll start with a heavy topic and something that I think needs to be discussed. That's why we chose this, and that is the Tista flood that happened last year. And we are still, not yet recovered from it, I feel, because the roads are still, suffering. It's blocked. It opens for a few days, again, it gets blocked. And so all of that we are hoping to discuss in this podcast. And like the monsoons are on
Yep.
full swing. So that's another worry that there is, hopefully, there's not another flood. So to begin with, the Tista flood, we saw it happen in on 3rd and 4th October, I think, last
Yeah.
year. That's when it's almost going to be a year now.
No, it's going to be
7, 8.
little over 9 months. Yeah.
So
10 months. Yeah.
So what do you think? What do you think? Of like, if you can give us a little bit of a background, since I have been a little out of touch. Like, I think he is more, in touch with what is happening in the news, and I have been a little out of touch with the news. So today I'm going to be like like the layman who was living outside Sikkim for a year or something like that.
Layperson.
So oh yeah, thank you. So yeah, so can you give us a background?
Yeah. So on a lighter note, that was one time after a very long time that national television, national news was doing Sikkim stories, the flood. So this happened on the night of 3rd October. Uh, and so there is this glacier in North Sikkim, South Lonak. It's one of the 16 glacial lakes in Sikkim that are potential GLOFs in the making. And when when we were trying to research South Lonak, I realized that now I've been a journalist in Sikkim for 30 years. And the first headline, the first story about South Lonak was about 20 years back. So they've known for about 2 decades that there was this glacial melt that had become a lake that could one day burst and become a glacial lake outburst flood, right? So they've known that for two decades nearly. And when it finally happened on 3rd October, when the lake did finally break, it still caught everyone by surprise. And there is a lesson to be learned there. The moral of the story is that you can't trust bureaucrats to do anything right, especially not preparing for disasters. They are very good at distributing ex gratia and things like that, tarpaulin after a landslide has occurred. But basically, it caught Sikkim off guard.
Yeah.
And the GLOF was one event. It came down. It became worse when it hit Chungthang and the stage 3 reservoir there, the dam. The reservoir was full. The dam burst. The entire water in the reservoir of Tista stage 3, which is a 1200 megawatt hydel project, one of the biggest in the Himalayas. The dam bursts. All that water joins the flood water and rushes downstream, taking away every bridge along the way on the Tista. Singtam takes a bad hit. Stage 5, the hydel project in Dikchu that no one is talking enough about, is also damaged, is still not operational. Singtam suffers a lot of damage, further downstream Rangpo, then on to Tista Bazar in West Bengal. So that happened over one night. There are enough horror stories. We don't need to remind people of the numbers. And the unfortunate thing is that the last 10 months, nothing was done to address the situation, right? In most floods, the river breaks at banks, there's a flood, and things go back to normal when the water recedes. The Tista flood, because of the reservoirs, because of the siltation and the silt already there in the reservoirs, and a host of other things, landslides and stuff like that, so much silt came down with the flood that the Tista's bed, the river bed, has risen. Officially, we don't know,
Yeah. I
right?
wanted to
But it's
ask,
about 14 to even 20 feet in some places.
Yeah, I wanted to, like what I have noticed is just that the river, before when the dams were there I mean, the Chungthang Dam was there before the flood, let's say.
Yeah.
I felt like the Teesta's level was not high. It was almost,
Yeah, it
towards
becomes
near Siliguri,
yeah.
towards on the way to when you're nearing Siliguri, the levels are really low and all. But now it's come up, right? After the flood, as
Yeah.
in, it has come up, and now in the monsoons, it's like really scary. So, is it because of the dam bursting? I mean, or the last year's flood that the level has gone up? Is it siltation? Is it
Yeah.
just free flowing water? What is it?
So one thing, I mean, yeah, if you are a diehard optimist, then the one good thing right now is that Tista is finally a free-flowing
I
river,
know.
right? So it's none of the dams are stopping its waters. About the levels that you're talking about, immediately after the flood, when people were talking about every time it drizzles, the level would rise and
Ah,
waters would enter Malli on the Sikkim side and
yeah.
Tista Bazar on the West Bengal side. The waters would just enter there after a drizzle. And a lot of people who are looking at it would say Tista has crossed the danger mark. Now, yes, it has crossed the danger mark, but the volume of water was not much. It is just that the river bed, the silt, there was so much silt deposited that the river bed has written by between 14 to 20 feet at some places, which means that the entire river has come up. The river bed has come up. The actual depth of the river is not much, right? But it spills over into Malli. Right now, Malli and Tista Bazar are suffering.
No one has told us
So,
if the bed has
and
risen.
Pidang, right? So no one is, say, everyone, it's a very interesting situation. Like you talk to people from Darjeeling district, Kalimpong and Darjeeling, they'll say, why does everyone talk about the disaster as a Sikkim
I know.
episode? It's Sikkim, like the Kalimpong and Darjeeling also suffered, which is true. But what is also true is that the disaster is the worst for wherever you're located. So for the people of Chungthang is the worst thing. They are the worst hit because they're still cut off, right? They've lost property apart from everything else. Then for Pidang, they are the worst hit because the entire village is about to go away
So
now.
where is exactly Pidang?
Pidang is Pidang is the when you're approaching Lower Zongu in North Sikkim. So when you enter, there's the first village. When you cross the bridge, when you cross the Tista at Dikchu, the first village is Pidang, where and that becomes the best example of what is happening to the Tista and how poor the follow-up has been, because at Pidang, the river you can see really how the river has changed its course. Now, the Tista is still flowing in the valley. So, I'm not saying that the river has changed course by kilometers. It's still flowing in the valley. But earlier, Tista used to go along the far bank from Pidang.
Okay.
After the flood, the amount of silt that got deposited, and the silt got deposited on the river's normal channel, right? So the river used to flow along the far bank, so that is where all the silt got deposited. Now, when the water levels receded, that silt diverted the water, Tista's water, towards Pidang. So now, when you go to Pidang, every second day, more and more of Pidang village is being cut away and taken away by the river. That is what we mean by river. The siltation is having an impact. What is happening in Malli, for example, what is happening in Tista, same thing. The siltation is pushing the river's waters into one direction, and that is what is spilling into these towns. The Tista Road, the videos are viral all over, right? What's happening out there. So, when we talk about not enough was done. All that they were doing is they were asking for funds and some scatterbrained idea like dredging the entire river, which dredging the reservoir of a dam takes so much time and resources that it cannot be done properly. Can you imagine dredging the entire basin, the Tista basin? It's not going to happen. What could have been done, and I'm talking purely from a layman's point of view, is if they had got some hydrologists, engineers, let's say at Pidang, and they would have studied how the water is. So they could have done specific storm blocks or whatever they're called, right? So you make a embankment to divert the river and dredge a part of it so that the river flows another way and you save the entire village. You didn't do that for 10 months. And now the village is going. Now it's too late, right?
No one has reported this, or no one is talking about this.
Everybody is reporting about Pidang,
No, no,
what is happening.
this thing flooding and the problems, but why or if there's anything being done, or they were planning it and before we could do it.
Yeah, I mean, if they were planning it, yeah, we don't know. So you see, the problem that it's it's the language they use that tells me about how seriously they're looking at it. So if you look at official communication about the Tista flood, sometimes they call it a cloudburst, which is what they called it first, right? When it first happened, they called it a cloudburst, and even then it was suspect. But okay, you didn't know what was happening. They call it a flash flood. They call it a glof. Uh, and yeah, it is an act of God, natural disaster, all of that is there. But they use these terminologies, whereas in reality, it is very simply
Yeah.
is the Tista flood, right?
You
There
know,
is no. So when you still call it a flash flood or a cloud burst, you are suggesting. Should we pause here because the lights have gone, or should we just continue? Yeah, so we'll continue. And if the lights come, very good. If they don't, too bad. So
this
what
is
happens? Yeah,
this is so interesting, the light going and just as
yeah. It's probably the Heidel project saying, "Ki, you better watch it. You don't criticize us too much because then we can do this to you." But so
so
they've
yeah.
not arrived at a proper nomenclature or definition or understanding of what's happened. So how are they going to
Yeah,
work on
when
the
I was just
solutions?
thinking, I just got reminded. I was not in Sikkim when this happened, and the national
Yes.
news was covering it, and I was like, I don't know what is happening. Flood. I mean, so many different
Yeah.
names.
Flood,
Mm.
cloudburst.
And I couldn't figure out the severity of the the situation also from the news, because you can't trust media, national media nowadays. They'll just sensationalize anything. So I was like, then I had to call up, find out whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the past 10 months have been spent with the elections, with promises of
Yeah.
rehabilitation, with efforts to, and that is required, right? You do need mitigation. People who've lost property, homes, whatever, they need to be adjusted. But the someone should have figured out what the riverbed rising so much will mean when it rains. And it is not as if enough people were not talking about it. We were talking about it wherever we got a platform. There are organizations in Kalimpong like Save the Hills, which has even submitted a memorandum
Yeah.
to people saying the riverbed has risen and do something, right? Get the experts or whatever. But they were not paying attention because I don't know. So Sikkim also is asking for funds, and it's asking for, really, I don't know what they're asking for, but they've not come up with
So,
a plan on how to.
yay!
Oh yeah, so we're blaming someone else apart from the Heidel project, so the lights come back.
So I wanted to ask, like, who is accountable for some situation like Pidang, like after the floods, right? Right now these things happening. Is it the what state disaster management authority? Is it
Uh, yeah, I
the
mean,
water resources? No, that's not the one. Like, yeah, which department? Who does it fall under? Who's to be held accountable? If anything tragic happens in any other place, like right now, because we are like the monsoons again, there's some orange warning or something like that.
no. So I think the problem is that being incompetent is not a crime, and we don't fix accountability on people for incompetence. So everybody has been incompetent,
Yeah.
right? Disaster management authority, district authority, people, panchayats, residents, media, us, commentators,
Yeah.
everybody has been exceptionally incompetent. But kya karoge? Like, we celebrate mediocrity as it is, right? So we've got to lump it. So there is that. I don't mean that anyone is intentionally spoiling things, but that is not enough. No one is doing anything informed and intelligent. So that is a problem with how the Tista flood has been handled. Like, apart from giving ex gratia payments, announcing rehabilitation and things like that, the bigger picture is not been addressed. I mean, North Sikkim is still cut off. Like, I refuse to believe that we don't have the engineering know-how in today's time to make roads and bridges that can last or can be made quickly enough,
I know.
right? Or what is happening with the national highway?
Which was that bridge that keeps getting washed away?
Yeah, the
in North-
across the at Tung, yeah.
Okay.
There is one. Sankalang got washed away, and Pidang, the new bridge got washed away. So they are again making do with the old embankments. Tista Bridge is the Sirwani Bridge got washed away. I mean, bridges, lots of bridges. Every bridge got washed
we
away
don't
at one
seem
time.
to learn. Yeah, I remember. I just remember the Mantam incident. Remember, and
Yes.
then something the when they were constructing the bridge, there also some stupid, like
It
they had
is.
to reconstruct it. They had to, yeah.
It is. I don't know. Like, it's just. Yeah, it's the same thing. Incompetence.
Yeah, you should have-
And when you're full of incompetent people, when experts come in and try to tell them something, they become defensive and they'll not do anything about it. See, there is that response as well, right? The moment there's an expert who comes and tells them you're doing it wrong, this is how you should do it, there'll be so much pushback that even the people will line up against the experts who are trying to talk sense, right? I mean, that's the
Oh, yeah.
that's the problem.
I wanted to now. Are we done with
The Tisa flood?
That,
No, Tisa flood is there for a lifetime, so
No,
we're
no.
not done with it. No.
I'm talking about the roads. I think we should talk about the roads and all this new thing about the roads have to be taken over by the National Highway Authority.
Yeah.
And yeah, and
You know, all this
politics
dancing
of
around, they
it.
should just give it to Adani because that's what they're planning to do. The government of India give everything to Adani or Ambani so that they do things right.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what the logic behind asking the National Highway Authority, whatever, to take over the roads is, or to BRO, right? BRO, for national security reasons, can't keep roads open. How will I trust them with this other section of the road? Right?
Yeah.
Everybody is equally bad in this.
Acha. So they said this West Bengal was looking after the national highway from.
The West Bengal section, yeah.
So they want the Sikkim government has proposed or requested that it be given to National Highway Authority (NHIDCL)
Whatever,
and,
Development Corporation.
and BRO.
No, not BRO.
तो BRO को क्यों लेके आ रहे हो बेचारे?
Sikkim roads, they want to give to BRO.
Okay.
Because we have to admit, I mean, the Sikkim Roads and Bridges Department is also like as bad as West Bengal Roads and Bridges Department, right? So, no, but BRO doesn't do a decent job. All the North Sikkim
Wait,
roads are with BRO, right?
Yeah,
The one bridge that got made in record time in North Sikkim was made by the army. BRO is only para-army, right? Paramilitary, whatever. So, it was the army that made this one bridge functional because they have to move supplies, right? The problem, I think, is with the manner in which border roads are being managed. So if you step back and you look at what's happening elsewhere, you look at Himachal Pradesh, you look at Jammu and Kashmir, you look at Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand is the best example where this road widening madness is happening, right? I don't know why you want to have 4-lane highways along a mountain that can't even take a mule train properly. Right, so mule tracks properly, and you're expanding these roads, and that engineering is deeply flawed, I'm sure. I know nothing about road engineering, but I know it's deeply flawed because the road widening, so if you look at the press releases, the departments, the district authorities are like trying their best to say something strong, but still say it politely, and they're all talking to NH, whatever, National Highway guys, saying your back cutting is causing problems. And who asked you to do back cutting, right? I mean, you give me a road that is fair weather, all weather road that can take a truck and a jeep, and that's good enough, right? You give me a 4-lane highway, you cut, and then I have nothing in monsoons.
Yeah.
Like now, lives are being lost. I mean, yesterday what happened at Lingi, right? That jeep, such an unfortunate incident. But do you want to be running the gauntlet every time you want to travel?
Yeah, in Lingi yesterday, shooting boulders fell on this taxi, I think, vehicle.
Yeah, jeep.
The
and a lady was
and a lady
lost
was
alive.
killed, crushed. I mean, thankfully the other passengers escaped, but that lady was supposedly holding a child, and the child, thankfully, nothing happened to the child, but she, yeah.
It is. I
But
think this whatever like a lot of things about the road. Some of them are just nuisances, right? Like this chicken pox um, thing that they have on the highways nowadays. Those
pimpled highways.
yeah, pimpled highways that they have, which I don't know why they're doing that. Which is okay. It's not harming anyone, right? Except maybe the tires. But it's the road expansion project that is underway. That engineering is so suspect that I don't think I trust National Highways to do a better job. They're not doing a better job anywhere in Sikkim.
So now,
You go to Pakyong, you
yeah.
go to North Sikkim, wherever these guys are making roads, there are landslides all over, right? So you want them to take over the entire highway?
Just for a road update, what is happening right now? Like the west from West Bengal, that Laba road that people were taking is
Yes.
shut for
Yes,
till
for
a
2-3
week,
days. 2-3 days, I think. Yeah.
and so people are taking which route to Siliguri from Sikkim?
Are they taking the Tista on rafts? No. So you can go to
No, I saw a
Kalimpong.
video.
Yeah. So from Kalimpong, you can go towards Samthar and then come out at on the Kalijhora Tista Dam and join the highway.
Okay.
So that is the route they're taking, which is
Kitna time?
most people don't know. No, that takes as much as the Lava Road, I'm sure. But the problem is you don't know that road. Most people don't take that road. So it is inconvenient in that sense. So if you're traveling from Sikkim, it's not like you're just following the highway and you'll come out at Sevok, right? You'll be trying out this new road, and even those roads will have their landslides and things midway, right?
Railway का क्या हो रहा है?
Yeah, half the landslides I'm sure are being triggered by the railway tunneling project.
It was supposed to be some more years left, no, for that.
For the railway project, yeah. Well, the railway project will take time, but I don't know. Like you can't keep a road up. How you're going to keep train tracks going through these hills? So I hope at least the railway guys have better engineers than the road people, the highway people.
So should we move on to our next topic?
Sure.
What is the
Are we
time?
like the Tista flood is like, yeah, we'll return to that theme very often with more statistics and better details next time.
Yeah,
maybe.
so I mean, so we are trying to. So the kind of format we are looking at is local news. We'll discuss some, I mean, local news and some national and some international. So another local news, as in topic that we wanted to touch upon was the elections, and we just had the assembly elections, and
We didn't just have the assembly election. It went on for like nearly 2 months
yeah.
after the
If you
elections.
count the waiting period for
Yeah.
the counting, yeah. So that's done, and now we have new ministers, new MLAs, and some drama happening as well. So we thought we'll discuss that. And what do you think about what?
No, I mean, like we have to have I mean, like
What?
before we discuss the results, we have to discuss the manner in which the elections were held.
Yeah. All over the
And-
country there was, yeah, anyways. Yeah.
Yeah, so the Election Commission of India itself is highly suspect, and like the way they've conducted themselves, which is like kind of like the hollowing out of all the institutions that we've had in our country. But Sikkim was especially ill-treated, I would say, like
Only Sikkim ki dusra bhi tha na?
Arunachal.
Arunachal.
which is like Arunachal is a BJP state, so Sikkim also is a BJP state in a way. They're allies, but so the problem is, that not enough people are talking about what we are going to be talking about now. Is the Election Commission of India announces the elections, right? Forget about the dates. I mean, they couldn't get the dates for Sikkim right. Why should we get the dates given by ECI right? But today, for instance, Election Commission of India announces we're going to have the elections all over the country. Sikkim has traditionally had simultaneous elections, right? So Sikkim will have its simultaneous election, and this is the date when the elections will be held in Sikkim. This is the date. And 4th, I know the date because I think the results all over the country were 4th June counting,
Ah,
right?
I think
So the
so.
counting was to be held on 4th
Second.
June. And the next day, right? And normal procedure, protocol, practice, whatever you want to call it, is that if you have simultaneous elections, then the results are also counted on the same day. Assembly and Lok Sabha is counted on the same day, all over with the rest of the country, which was 4th June. I hope I get the date wrong because it serves Election Commission of India right. The next day, Election Commission of India says, fresh notification. Oh, no, no. In Sikkim and in Arunachal Pradesh, the Lok Sabha results will be counted on 4th, but their assembly election results will be counted on 2nd. They don't say why, right? They say it will be counted on the 2nd. And Sikkim is such a docile politics and such docile politicians in the ruling and opposition and everywhere else that no one says why. No one asks why. Why is Sikkim being counted on 2nd? And why did, see, my problem is not why it was counted on 2nd, it is why did you not include that information in the original notification? They issued the original notification and then someone pointed out that the government in Sikkim, its tenure will end on the 2nd. So if you do not have a new government in Sikkim on the 2nd, you'll have to have president's rule for 2nd and 3rd, and then have the counting on 4th, and then a new government. So it's a constitutional kind of situation. Although I'm sure Sikkim won't have minded president rule either, right? Who would have complained? Because no one made an issue out of this. They did that. Would they have done that? Would they have forgotten that a government in UP, Bihar, Delhi, Punjab, Himachal, pick any other state except the Northeast, where they would have forgotten that the government lapses before the counting date? Would they not have made that adjustment? If it had been UP or Bihar, they would have had the counting all over the country on 30th May itself, right? Not even waited those 2 days. But they did that for Sikkim. It's bad enough that it was an afterthought. Someone told them after they announced the dates and then they made this fresh notification, right? Bad. No one in Sikkim took offense. I am deeply offended, right? And I don't even vote. But, or I'm not even from here. But it was still very offensive because it was so rude, right? That they forgot about Sikkim. After that, Election Commission of India 2-3 days later says, oh, we've also, by the way, accepted the request made by the Sikkim election Chief Electoral Officer's Office of Sikkim, asking for the counting to begin at 6 a.m. on 2nd June. Right? This is also an afterthought now, okay?
This is another notification.
This is another note. This is another letter to us coming ki, oh, Sikkim requested that we want to begin the counting at 6. And Election Commission is this benevolent, nice organization. And they said, sure, you want to count at 6, we'll let you count at 6. They don't tell us why. Now, Sikkim wanted to begin counting at 6 because Election Commission of India told the officers here, you have to finish the counting by noon. Because the deadline is 1. By 1, we need to know who's forming the government in Sikkim. Otherwise, that constitutional tamasha happens again.
Yeah.
This is like problematic. And so what did we get on counting day? They begin counting at 6. They count all the assembly segments simultaneously. Earlier, you would have this. Remember the last election?
Yeah.
It was really fun. Loven, I think, was there with us, if you remember. The last two, it was like actually a match, right? One by one, you declare one constituency, then you begin counting the next. That would happen. Out here, everybody was being counted simultaneously. Within 15 minutes, we knew who was going to be winning from where. Remember, when we came in to start recording at around 8, by 9 it was kind of over, and then we had to just kind of chatter on for a live show. So that happened. Would that affect efficiency? Of course it would, when you're doing it simultaneously and when you're doing it one at a time. So that happened. Now the problem is not even that. It is that they could not do it in one shot.
What?
Why could this not be in the original notification that the counting will be on 2nd, it will begin at 6. Now, when Election Commission decided that countings all over the country begin at 8, I hope there's some reason why they pick 8 o'clock in the morning. And if there is a reason why counting begins at 8 o'clock in the morning, then what does making it at 6 in the morning, what difference does that make? right? I mean, I'm not saying that the counting went wrong. I'm just saying it shows disinterest, incompetence, same thing we come back to,
No,
right?
it is the it goes back to that what you were mentioning earlier. All the institutions have been compromised in the country there, right? So even the ECI, I feel they were so focused on
On so
getting
focused on,
other things right that Sikkim is not in their priority list,
yeah, I
and that
think
is why Sikkim is like they didn't care, so they didn't look at when the tenure is getting over. It is that is the point where it starts, right? If they had the entire thing planned properly, this would have never
yeah,
happened. Nothing like it.
yeah.
Sikkim, the entire country's election dates and counting would have been preponed and probably finished by
You
the end of
see,
June, sorry, end of May. So there will never have been a problem.
this,
It's a
yeah,
management problem.
it is
Yeah.
no, because you are right. It's about how the institution. So, what was Election Commission's priority? Its priority was to give the great leader enough time to campaign in constituencies of his choice, which is why we had one of the longest elections in our history since the first election. I think the first election was longer because at that time we were just learning how these things are done, right?
Was
But
it? This was the longest after that?
after that, yes. It went on for more than 2 months. Like the election process. Like there was no need for it to be stretched out. And it was so obvious that they were like working it in a way that suits certain parties much better than it does others, right? So they were so focused on pleasing a certain group that they forgot about everyone else, and Sikkim fell into that category. And like, unfortunately, no one in Sikkim politically made enough noise about it.
I don't think
And then the results came in.
they don't really talk about this kind of things. They never really talk about, and it is something that happens at the state level also.
Because everybody is scared of how
it's a very
strong the center is and how vindictive the party in the center is, right?
no. I'm saying not just this. I'm talking about how this lack of like mediocrity, like you said, this lack of uh, s- planning skills or management skills or lack of common sense or what do you call it? It's never really you never really see them accepting their mistakes. Also, even at the state level is what I'm saying. We have had these goof ups. I'm saying
Yeah.
similar to goof ups at the state level also, not
Uh-huh.
election related. Any in general you'll have one notification, then next
I mean,
notification,
just look
correcting
at
the
it.
previous notification.
Yeah, like yesterday, there was a notification of Department of Personnel which said that government office timings are from 10 to 4:30. And that has been a rule that has been around since forever. But they had to take out a fresh notification reminding people that these are the timings and you have to be in office to work. Now, when the Department
saw
of
that.
Personnel has to state the obvious, when are they going to do the bigger things of policy and reforms?
Yeah.
Because अभी तक तो आप लोगों को ऑफिस ही टाइम में लाने का ट्राई कर रहे हो. It's only after they start coming to office and staying there long enough that you can give them work and make them
Yeah.
better. Anyways, yeah, we digress.
We have to talk about the the drama that is happening. Like, when was it? You were telling me yesterday, day before, Mr. Lamta, who was the lone opposition MLA, this time from SDF, he has jumped to SKM.
Returned. He stayed out only for 3 months. So
Yeah, so he has joined SKM. So
Yeah.
now we don't have any opposition in the assembly.
yeah, we didn't really have any opposition last term either. I mean, even if these people get elected and stay in the opposition bench, they don't really behave like opposition members.
Because
So
there was speculation.
yeah, but right now it's 32 out of 32. Like not 32 out of 32. Right now it is like 30 out of 32 because like there are two constituencies that don't have MLAs.
No, there were the speculations about whether Lamta will join SKM or whether he will join BJP or what is going to happen, and then
All that is time pass. I mean, everybody
yeah.
knew he's going to go to SKM.
SKM.
Like he was SKM for 5 years. He won with SKM votes, and so and especially after SDF performed so poorly,
So
uh,
yeah,
he was bound to go
So
to
now
SKM. So there's no surprise there.
this gossip that I've been hearing, it's not really gossip, sort of gossip that I heard is like Shari constituency now has 2 MLAs supposedly.
Yeah,
That's what people say,
But
it seems.
the people are just being nasty when they do that. But that has always been the case, right? I mean, this is not something that SKM started really. This is something that SDF started, where in opposition constituencies from which opposition MLAs won, they would make a SDF guy the in charge of that thing to do whatever the MLA is supposed to do. So that's a very unfortunate practice, and it continued with SKM as
Yeah.
well, and now. But Shari, no, Lamta, now he's in SKM,
So,
so they'll have only one MLA.
so now the other thing is that we have by-elections coming,
Yeah,
right?
for Namchi Singithang and Soreng Chakung.
Soren Chakung for Mr. Gole and Namchi Singitang for Ms. Krishna Maya
Yeah.
Rai, right? So, what does the grapevine say?
The grapevine says nothing. I mean, it's going to go to them, right? I mean, it's going to go to SKM. The
No,
only battles that you're going to see is who's going to get the ticket. It'll be
wait,
interesting
oh,
to see.
who's going to
No,
get
but
the
that
ticket? Yeah.
I'm not even interested in that because it doesn't matter who gets the ticket.
Because, yeah.
What will be interesting to really see is not who gets the ticket. I really don't care who gets the ticket. What will be interesting is whether there will be by-elections, as in whether it'll be an uncontested victory.
Yeah.
Because who
No,
will?
I'm sure Cap will contest, yeah. I am sure. Like, at least Cap, if
No,
not
you are
anyone
sure.
else.
Yes.
I'm sure.
But
I'm actually
we'll
yeah.
have to see, right? We'll have to see what kind of contest we have, and whether other parties even have kind of found their bearings and will even contest those elections. And it is not just about contesting elections, whether they will campaign seriously, right? Fielding a
I
candidate is nothing, right? It is whether you can, even when you know you're going to lose, or even when you know that even if you win, you're not going to win anything at the assembly level. Do you still campaign your heart out? I mean, that is
I
what
hope someone,
you'll have
yeah.
to look
I
at.
hope some party, at least Cap or
So,
whoever,
I mean,
does.
if nothing else, at least for the constituency, right? At
I
least for the
know.
voters, they will have people coming to them and they'll be special twice for two elections. What better than that? At least give them that.
Also,
So that'll be fun. I
yeah.
mean, that'll be interesting to see, yes.
Also, this time I think the drama was also in the portfolios that the MLAs got, the ministers got shuffled, reshuffled. Some of the MLAs who were ministers in the last term were not given cabinet position this time. So what was I going to talk about? Like
They,
someone like
I had
Mr.
yeah,
B.S. Pant is not
he's
in
an
here.
advisor.
He's an
Yeah.
advisor.
So
Oh, they are all been given advisor posts, right?
to the departments that they held earlier. I had, when any party wins these numbers, it is like it's actually a curse, right? Because then you have so many egos to manage and ambitions to handle and things like that. So it's not an easy task. I thought SKM handled it very well. They managed to get new faces into the cabinet, and they managed to convince the older lot who were made advisors. That is actually a demotion, right? Like in a way, it would be okay if they were just allowed to remain MLAs, but they were made advisors. But it is almost independent charge. Some of these guys, the advisor is in departments that the chief minister holds, and the message I believe he sent to these people, at least some of the bigger ones, is that you will be behaving like an advisor, like a minister. You'll have the powers of a minister. So I think they managed it quite well
But
for
then there
now.
will be two ministers in one department.
No, it is the senior ones in the ministries, the portfolios that the CM holds. So
Okay.
if you are an advisor in a department that the chief minister has kept with him, then
that
you have a
okay.
relatively good independent charge, right? Of course, if you are a advisor in a department with an existing minister, then of course, like you're like
Yeah.
there's only like so much power that you enjoy.
Now let's talk about some national news, and we have, of course, again the election results in the national
Yeah.
level as well, where we have BJP has come back, but with a smaller.
Yeah,
in
BJP
smaller
does not have
numbers.
majority on its own. That's old hat. Everybody knows that, but it feels so good to say it.
Oh yeah, today that I was saying, I was listening to Mahua Moitra's speech, and she
Yeah.
had coined this. She, as whatever her team has coined a new phrase, a new full form for NDA.
Yeah.
Guess. Nitin Naidu Dependent Alliance.
Nitin Naidu. Okay, NNDA. Nitin Naidu.
NDA.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Nitin Naidu dependent. They are the two big guys there,
Why?
right? Yeah, I mean,
But yeah.
it is, I mean, we have to seriously we have to seriously think about where we are as a country, where we are celebrating the election results as the left alliance, let's call it that, right? As the liberal alliance, for having performed not as poorly as they did last time. I mean, NDA is still in government for a third term. They won the election and are forming the government, right? And we are still saying this is such great news that BJP does not have majority on its own. So it's an unfortunate place to be. We should be saying, oh no, we missed a chance of, I mean, if you, depending on which camp you are, we should be thinking of it, we missed a chance to change the government.
Yeah.
But we are now saying, oh, so well done that the liberal coalition has performed much better than what we thought they would do. Because, and everybody was saying, for instance, that BJP will be forced to behave better. We will probably see an NDA of Atal Bihari Vajpayee's time, right? Which was a good government that India had. Let's accept it, right? One of the better governments that we had as a country was when Vajpayee was prime minister. And a lot of people were saying that because BJP's own numbers have come down, we might see an NDA of Vajpayee's vintage. Not happening. I mean, the same big guys are still the home minister and the defense minister and everything else, right?
Yeah.
They are behaving as if nothing has changed. So it's let's see what happens on that Nitin Naidu magic. If they do something, if they demand their pound of flesh, and I think they will. I think what has happened is people are so scared. They were so scared of the central government that it will take some time for them to realize that they also have a voice, that the alliance partners have a voice, and then they'll demand more accountability. So right now, nahi ho raha hai. Like, so it is like this term, like they keep using this term, coalition dharma. That's not happening. So what is happening is coalition drama. They are doing this play acting that we are a coalition, but BJP and the great leader, they continue to behave as if they are like all in all and they can do whatever they want. Over the next year, we'll see if things become better. They should, because why should one ideology or one person have so much power over an entire nation? Especially when their main vote base has moved away, right? You see, I mean, UP and Bihar did move away from the Hindi belt, did move away from BJP. It is the South that gave them the required numbers in the end.
Yeah.
So that bit is going to be interesting to see about how the coming months play out at the national level politics.
There is still that danger of alliance partners. If they, is there a possibility of them moving over towards the India group, as in the Congress group? That's what they are claiming. Right?
Anything
Congress
is-
is claiming
I-
that we can
Yeah.
turn the tables.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's politics, right? I don't think there is anyone in the India alliance with the brutal scheming mind that the BJP has in its secret back room to engineer these kind of things. Because what will you offer them? See, in the end, it's transactional, right? It is what do you get in return. With BJP, at one time it was, I won't send the ED to you, and that people were happy with just that much, right? So that was reason enough for me to go to BJP. What will the India Alliance offer? Like what, apart from appealing to their morality and things like that, ethics, which is like a joke. It doesn't apply, right, in politics. So I think the India Alliance has nothing to offer.
Okay.
Like, what will Naidu or who? Nitish.
Nitin.
Nitish.
Nitish. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, what will
Nitin.
Naidu or yeah,
Nitish.
what will Naidu or Nitish get from the India joining the India alliance apart from uh, not being seen as alt right, and that's not good enough, I think, for them right now. So I don't think that's happening. I don't think that's happening.
I think another thing that I was telling you about that I wanted to bring up in the national level is what is happening like of late. The biggest news is the Miss Pooja Khedkar,
UPSC,
UPSC's
yeah,
possible scam, allegations of
established.
scam.
So that
No, no, it's not established. It's not established.
again,
It's just
the incompetence and negligence and failure of your systems, checks and balances, that is
because
established.
right now, from whatever I have seen, heard, is that they're putting everything on the on Pooja, on this lady Pooja Khedkar, who was a IAS officer and probationary officer. She had just gotten through, so they're putting all the blame on her. Like she took out a fake certificate, a whole lot of fake certificates. She's the one who bypassed. It has nothing to do with the UPSC, the system,
Examination.
the examination and all that. But then now they are, obviously with so many things going wrong, people are questioning maybe UPSC is also, there is something wrong in there also. But right now, I don't think they have anything, they have got anything against UPSC, anything solid. It is just so, yeah.
Yeah, fine. I mean, of course, it is, इन लोग का ना नाम नहीं लेना चाहिए. You're making them famous by using their name. So this lady, obviously she submitted false, fake documents, right? And that is a criminal offense. There is no denying that. But what is really at question here is not that we have individuals who will do fraud and forgery. That we always had those people, right? That is why we had institutions like the UPSC, right? That they have the checks and balances where people cannot get away with fake documents. That is why UPSC. Otherwise, SPSC should conduct the national exams also. No.
Yeah.
So it is a failure of the checks and balances that the UPSC has. And this is what okay, there's a bigger theory that we can have on this, that I have on this, is this incompetence, this failure of the checks and balances routine happens when you have politicians, political parties that are too strong or too powerful for a democracy. So what happened with, let's say, UPSC's thing? You think no one noticed there's something dodgy about her claims and certificates? I'm sure someone noticed, right? Then they looked, who's her dad? Who are the people she knows? They said, oh, that person must be very well connected. So let's not trouble that. It is like, for instance, if I go out right now in Sikkim with SKM having 32 out of 32 MLAs, if I go out in my car with an SKM flag, you think a traffic cop will stop me? Or if he stops me, do you think will he talk to me politely or rudely? The point is that everybody immediately, it's like Delhi, right? Janta hai mera baap kaun hai?
No, that is
So
there. No, that is
that
that is
that
there regarding.
makes, so I don't need to put corrupt people in UPSC. I have hollowed it out because I've got these political parties and politicians who are so strong that most people will think twice before following up on a suspicion. They'll look at this person and they say, oh, she's getting away with so much. I'm sure she has contacts. So let's not, I will not be the one who, bells the cat. This happened, right? Remember Jammu Kashmir, this guy just went claiming to be from the PMO and dropping the Prime Minister's name and getting VIP treatment.
So what this girl has done is, like the OBC, she
Got the
applied
OBC
from the
quota,
OBC
then
quota and the creamy layer certificate, like she's non creamy layer. that was a fake certificate, right? Supposedly, allegedly. Then she also got a disability certificate. That too is a fake certificate. The disability certificate, supposedly, then UPSC did due diligence and said, okay, we have to get it verified from AIMS.
Aims.
So she was called to AIMS to get it verified. She didn't go. Then suppose UPSC kept reminding her 5 times, told her that you have to go and get your disability thing verified at AIMS, and she refused to go. She got a fake, not fake, but she got a fake disability certificate, again verification, sorry, verification certificate from a private hospital, and submitted it. And then UPSC was like, this is like, you cannot just submit a fake, sorry, a private hospital verification certificate. You need to do it from AIMS. So they had put her thing on hold. But despite like objecting to it, putting it on hold, saying that this is, we need the verification from AIMS, she was given a joining order, and supposedly UPSC was like, huh? How did she get a joining order? We had not, passed her verification thing, certificate, whatever that step. So the question again, but related to what you said, is that only her, she has an influential father, she has connections, this that, so that's how she got the joining order. Similar to what we see here also, right? We know these things, like you can get things done if you have connections. So, but in the entire thing, like what I was saying, like they put the blame on her. Ki she did this, she did that. So there is nothing really solid against the IPSA as of now, is what I
Yeah,
was saying.
and they'll probably not be, because again the people will say, "Oh, do we want to go after UPSC?" Then bring a question mark on this institution itself because of one person and things like that. But
Yeah,
let's
that's
accept it.
crazy.
I mean, like, there must be other cases. I mean, they're talking about the joining order. Didn't she go through that entire IAS course or whatever it is that they have at?
हाँ वही तो.
So all that is when your documents should have been screened, right? In before the interview, your documents should be verified. The number of times, even in Sikkim, when you have to actually, before you join, go with your original documents in person and all that stuff happens, right? So yeah, I mean it's a failure of the system.
So
I'm not saying anyone took a bribe to do this, but
could have also,
incompetence in itself is bad enough.
How did she get a joining order? Anyways, so moving on to, we are heading towards the end of the podcast, and we now get to discuss some international news. And I feel like we are, like, like we are hovering over the same topics, but then, yeah, that's like, that's okay, I guess. Because
What is
that's
okay?
what is happening.
Yeah.
Because we, even in the international scenario, we are looking at this great divide between the right and the left, and a lot of things are happening in other countries as well. Like, for example, you were mentioning France and what's
Yeah.
happening there.
Yeah, I mean, the unfortunate thing, I think, see, right and the left are not problematic in themselves. They are both valid positions to have. So you can be conservative and you can be a liberal. It is not that one is good and the other is bad. It is just how they are the two different camps on how you approach your politics and governance. What is happening of late, we've seen that in India, we are seeing that in America, we're seeing that all over Europe, is that the conservative camp has somehow been taken over by people who are insular, bigoted almost, right? They are the camp that has become the conservative, which is not how it was originally meant to be, right? Conservative is a policy issue in your finances, economics, and things like that, and not actual personal conduct, which is what it has. Because individual
they've become like
liberty,
that, yeah.
both conservatives and liberals in any democracy, irrespective of which party you belong to, individual liberty is the starting point. You believe that individuals should be free to do what individuals do. And at a policy level, we'll differ. Now, what has happened is that it has increasingly become insular in our country, where, like, for instance, uh, the beef drama, right? How suddenly, like, that becomes a political issue, right? Or the clothes you wear, since our prime minister is so good at recognizing people based on that. So, those are individual choices. Individual liberty is something that the right has somehow become about not allowing people, about imposing what they feel is the right way to behave, right? So, what was happening in France, it was not just the right, it was not just a conservative force, it was this obnoxious, bordering on fascism level of farcical politics, right? They almost won. And they would have won if they followed the first past the post like India did. But France has a slightly different model where you have to have two phases and then get the 50%. So when in the first phase, Le Pen's NF, I think it's called, let's say call it the National Front or whatever, the left, the right gang, when they did so well that the left group, which was completely disorganized, realized that we can't allow this to happen, and they came together in a proper coalition. This lot of their candidates withdrew, make space so that the votes don't get distributed. Something that the Indian liberals could not do in the last elections. They could not do the seat sharing business very well, which is why they lost the elections, right? Let's accept it. In France, they did. They figured out the right balance and they won the elections. A lot of the French commentary is saying that the battle is not over, it's only begun. So there is that. And now then you look at America, and that I can't believe, like, I mean, of course, Biden is not doing very greatly to win the election for the Democrats. So that's the other battle worth watching now. But
Okay.
what the kind of politics that Trump is selling, if that works, America could become like India in how it handles its institutions. So, but so far, yeah, couple of good victories. I mean, France kind of gave us all a reason to smile, I guess.
Okay, so now we'll have to, go end the podcast. But before we do, we wanted to try something, some fun stuff at the end with all this boring talk about politics from Mr. Pema Wongchuk. I am also feeling bored now. So we will start. We are doing a section. We haven't really named the section yet, but something like right now I can only think of this word. So so we will in this I will come up with a word. I will say a word which I also don't know. I'm just googling right now, and any word.
When you say you will come up with a word, I thought you were going to manufacture a word.
I'm not going to manufacture. We could actually try that as well. But I'll just say one word and we will both, like, at random, and we'll both try to think about what that word brings up in our mind.
Yeah. I'm not very good at this corporate icebreaker.
It's not a corporate icebreaker
It's a
thing,
very
yeah?
corporate
It's
icebreaker
not.
kind of game to get people.
Like,
But anyways, let's give it a shot.
I
Yeah.
don't know. Yesterday.
I don't even know what I'm supposed to do. Beatles
Beatles.
song. Yeah. So, yeah. Okay. If you want a deeper meditation on that, yesterday should never be better than today, because there are too many politicians right now telling us that.
Why do you have to take everything to politics? Oh my God.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm a person who does not even like politics, yeah, by the way. But yeah, so, I mean, when I think yesterday, I think at least the young, because people my age are all gone, the young people should live by the philosophy that yesterday can never be better than today. And today will never be as good as tomorrow. That's the only positive way to look forward, right?
So philosophical.
So everyone is no, because I'm talking politics, right? The entire politics of the world right now. We were
Business.
talking about this guys who are showing you your golden period in the past. So that's how I look at yesterday. I'm sure you love yesterday.
Yesterday,
Yes.
For me,
Hmm.
the word brings up this flower called yesterday, today, tomorrow. Okay,
Kal, aaj aur kal works better in Hindi.
there's a bush. It's like a bush kind of flower.
No, it's a bush kind of a plant.
It's a bush that flowers.
Yes.
So it's called yesterday, today, tomorrow because when it starts, it is like I think white in color. Yesterday, that is yesterday. Then today means when it turns into light purple, it is today. Then it becomes dark purple, that is tomorrow. So yesterday, today, tomorrow. Okay. And it has a Nepali name also. 1 minute.
Kal, aaj aur kal.
No,
Hiju, aaj aur bholi.
please.
I'm translating.
No, in what was it? It was
Dal badlu.
no, yeah.
Sikkim politician. He's changing colors every day.
No, it is. God, you made me forget. Yeah, it is like Radha Rani. No, Raja Rani. No,
Raja Rani
something like that. Oh,
and Mantri. These are three.
I've completely forgotten. Forgotten now. It was
Yeah.
some.
Maybe if
You have made
anybody
me
watches
forget.
this, they can
Yeah.
write in the comments on what that is.
You have made me forget.
You're saying the same thing that I said.
What? No.
In a way, in a more subtle, nuanced
No,
way.
there was some other. Please keep quiet for
Yes.
2 minutes or 2 seconds.
You're trying to think.
I can't remember.
Loven doesn't know what that plant is called.
Thank you very much for no. I think we should end now.
Kal aaj aur kal. I think that's a nice.
Thank you for watching the Sikkim podcast, and we hope to be back next week. And thank you for your patience for those who have been watching us from the start or even listening to us from the start. We hope to make it more interesting next time.
And we are planning to put together more programs
Yeah.
which will be more organized, better researched, and better organized than this. Thank you.
Thank you.